when I first started Agnihotra was when I was a young guy in 1970, early 1970s, 74, in a Calcott at the feet of Parama Sadguru Sri Gajanan Maharaj. And at that time, my only interest was self-development, spirituality, spiritual experiences, and all the normal stuff that young people were into at that time and are into mostly. And that is, what can I get out of it? What is it going to do for me? And I was sent to Australia to teach Agnihotra and Homa therapy. And as the time went by, in a matter of actually pretty short time, I began to become more aware of what I had actually already experienced as a teenager in Poland when I was living at my grandmother's near the Bieszczady National Park and used to go for long walks. And that is, I experienced it a couple of times for a short time, in between all the craziness that was going on as a young person at that time. And that is that I'm actually not separated from nature. I'm not an island that's completely separated from all living beings and separated from everybody else and every other part of this planet. That I'm actually the opposite. I'm actually a part of nature, and that my whole being is the same as nature. So my soul and the soul of nature is one and the same. And this is what Agnihotra gave me, this experience more and more in different levels and different ways. Like feeling how birds feel, feeling how the gardens feel, feeling how the trees feel, the oceans, etc. And I guess a lot of people who've been doing Agnihotra for a while know what I'm talking about, or people who've, have that experience know what I'm talking about. So basically, my awareness expanded, and I realized that this separation from Mother Earth and from all living beings was something that was abnormal. Yeah, can you put the gallery on? Thank you. I can't see anybody. And so that's how I first discovered what spiritual ecology is. And this idea grew. And when I came to Poland, came back to Poland, when Poland's borders were open in '95 at the invitation of Dr. Ulrich Berg to run his Homa farm in the western side of Poland. I came quite gladly because as I said before, when I had lived in Poland before, I felt an incredible love for a soulful love for all of nature in Poland, for the trees, the birds, the rivers, the mountains, and every aspect of nature here. And so I missed it too, because of course, living in Australia, it's a completely different type of nature, also very, very wonderful to live in, and completely the opposite of what the nature is like here, as you will see in the slides. And so we started, as Parvati has already told you, Parvati and I got together, and we started this place in the southern area of Poland near the mountains. Can we start this now? Great, fantastic. It is on? Oh, can everybody see the slideshow? Yeah? Okay, good. So we found this place quite magically. We found this place quite magically, and I just need to see this. And it struck us. It was actually struck us straight away as soon as we got the message from Parvati to look for a place. She got the message, she gets messages all the time, to look for a place south of Krakow. And this was the first place we came to, we looked at. And it was very magical at that time because it had been wild for over 10 years. Nobody had lived here. And all the wild animals were living here. And the orchard, which was over nearly 100 years old, was really, you know, overgrown and quite amazing to look at. And of course, there was nowhere to live. The place was impossible to live in. We had to renovate the only log cabin that was here, which is this one here. And then it started from that. We moved on to developing this community to show an example of how homotherapy practically works, that it's not just an idea or a concept or something that you can you know, visualize or meditate on and it suddenly appears from out of nothing, that you have to actually put it into action and work on it every day quite hard to make it what it is. Well, as we see here, because I'm saying this because I have a lot of people visiting here who tell me that it's enough to sit in their garden, meditate on everything growing, sending out good intentions, good vibrations, and everything will grow beautifully and everything will grow harmoniously. Then my answer to that is, can you please give me an example of this? And of course, nobody has yet given me an example of this, but I have seen loads of examples of how homotherapy, farming, through Agnihotra and all the other fires that are done, has given beautiful example, like here, of the amazing transformative effect it has on the whole of nature, which is, as everybody knows already from listening to Bruce's, I hope everybody saw Bruce's presentation, is being completely destroyed and is on the brink of complete extinction. Anyway, so here's the example. We've created a microclimate where all life can thrive, held in balance through the harmonious interchange between ourselves and Mother Earth, thanks to the fires. And this is just to show you a few pictures of how the mountains are close by. Here's another one, the Tatra Mountains, which is where some ancient beings have been known to live. Here's another beautiful mountain, which is called the Babyagura, which means the ancient woman mountain. Okay, and now here I'll show you the amazing effect that homotherapy has on cows. As you can see, the cows are so happy to be living here, which is unusual in Poland, because cows usually, even on an organic farm, are scared of strangers because basically they live in a state of tension and fear, or an atmosphere of fear. So when a stranger arrives, they run. But here, as you can see, they come to the stranger and want to, you know, as you can see. Okay, next picture. This is the orchard pictures. Okay. And this is our garden. In our mandala garden, we meet every morning to tune with the devas and nature spirits. So we don't just go into the garden for the purpose of, you know, producing crops and cultivating wonderful vegetables. Of course, that's there as well, but we also go there as a spiritual practice. This is what I'm trying to explain through spiritual ecology, that it's not just a matter of producing, which is the Western paradigm, the Western mindset, mind construction, that life is all about production and consumption, that it's a balance. It's a matter of producing in a spirit of love, harmony, and connection with all living beings. And that's what we do here, as you can see. Okay, here the people are attuning to the nature spirits, or the devas or whatever you want to call it, to all the living beings that help nature, including ourselves, if we are willing. We have a free will, so we don't have to help nature. We can do the opposite, as you well know. Homa gardening. Here we On May the 14th, oh, this is very interesting to prove scientifically what happened here. On May the 14th, 2003, we had a chemical analysis done on the soil by the Agricultural Center in Krakow to find out exactly what was missing in the soil. As can be seen in the charts, the overall the overall acidity of the soil was very high, pH of 4.85, and the worst was the cultivated garden area, 3.7 at a 37. At a pH of 4.4. As is commonly known, it's impossible to cultivate anything whatsoever in such acidic pH conditions, except for acid-loving fruits like berries and pine trees, which grow everywhere around here. And basically, all the farmers around here don't farm anything except cultivating animals and food for their animals. If they have any food for themselves, it's just in a little garden where they have to do a lot of composting, a lot of insecticide use, a lot of pesticide use, and a lot of fertilizer, unfortunately artificial fertilizer, because the soil is so heavily acidic and heavily clay. And we have amazing, as you've already seen, and I'll show you more pictures, we have amazing results in our garden, thanks to the Agnihotra and Homa therapy farming. So this is the Chemical Agricultural Center in Krakow. This is the result they gave us of the soil analysis. And as you can see, 4.85 acidic pH, very high in phosphorus, high in potassium, high in magnesium. In the garden area, the bars in the middle show you that the lime requirement is necessary and is highly recommended. They actually told us to buy 5 tons of lime to put it in our garden. And we didn't do that, of course. And also down below, you can see it's extremely acidic. This is 4.8, 4.4, and 5.1. The orchard, the cultivated area, and the grass meadow area, the last one, 5.1 acidic. And very low in phosphorus, very low in medium in potassium, high in magnesium. So basically, for anyone who doesn't understand what all this is about, this soil analysis, basically they told us that forget about gardening, forget about gardening vegetables, just concentrate on apples, plums, berries, and cultivating animals. Everything else is a complete uneconomical and a waste of time. We didn't tell them that, of course, we were growing all kinds of amazing stuff, all kinds of vegetables, as I will show you. This is a very good saying. Now, more than ever, we all need to come together to plant seeds of change. I think this is a quote from Parvati's Orion transmission. Yeah, it is. So here you have some pictures of people working in the garden. As you can see, this is to prove that the effect of Homa therapy. And this is a magical Homa herb garden. As you can see, the herbs are growing beautifully. Oh, the other amazing effects of using Homa therapy, in other words, Agnihotra, Triambakam. For those people who didn't watch Bruce's presentation, you need to learn Agnihotra, practice that sunrise and sunset. Triambakam 4 hours a day. and Vairuti Homa before Trambakam. And you need to have a Agnihotra hat in the middle, which I'll show you in a minute what ours look like. Of course, in winter conditions like ours, it's not as easy to build these huts as it is in India or South America, where it's very quickly you can put a hat like that together. But you do need a hat, and for one for Agnihotra and one for Agnihotra and Trambakam, as close to the garden as possible. There you have amazing vegetables. This is shows you what amazing produce we have from soil that should not have anything at all unless you use tons of lime, phosphorus, nitrogen, etc., as was analyzed by the laboratory in Krakow. So we proved them wrong. Of course, we also use compost. It's not just that we do Agnihotra, but we are not professional farmers or gardeners. We use compost from our cows, what's left over after we've taken as much cow dung as possible for Agnihotra purposes and Trambakam purposes. And of course, we use straw. We use a few mulching methods taken from permaculture, and that's it. We don't do anything else. We don't need insecticide. We don't need pesticide. We don't need fertilizers. We use biosol. That's the only fertilizer we use. I don't know if Bruce mentioned biosol, but that's an incredible fertilizer that uses Agnihotra ash and cow's urine and yantra. And not only do pumpkins grow, but also children grow in a homotherapy atmosphere. So there they are. There's the children along with the vegetables. That's Rory's daughter, Alana. And there they are again. And children grow very, very, as Parvati mentioned, children grow very, very happily and grow to become fully potentialized and fully, as far as I'm concerned, fully evolved beings, thanks to the Homa atmosphere. This is some of the flowers. This is the microgreens. This is people growing the microgreens from the community. Okay. Yeah. And of course, this is what it looked like, the farm when we started. It was just this broken down place that we built up. And here's the temple that I mentioned earlier, where we do Agnihotra. This was the first building that we built, because this is the most important. If you're going to have a community or a farm, you need an Agnihotra hat. So this is our Agnihotra hat. And this is what the fire angels look like. We took a picture of the angels in the fire. This is the amazing angels. Can't see, you have to read it. Amazing angels around the Agnihotra hat, as you can see. Okay, that's the hat. And that's it. That's the slideshow. We also use clay building and ecological materials to build houses. And we do our best to become as self-sufficient as possible. And
what about our spiritual?
Practicing ahimsa is, of course, highly important. So if you do start a community, or if you have a farm where you're going to do homotherapy farming so that you get wonderful results, always remember that practicing ahimsa, like Gandhi made it very clear, is the most important thing. In thought, word, and deed. It's a powerful deterrent against all the evils in the world and all the evils inside oneself. Okay, there's some more pictures of the animals, the happy animals on the farm. And we use horses for plowing, neighbors' horses. Then we also have bees, which as even in the southern area of Poland, bees are under attack. They're being destroyed by the pollution situation, you know, which exists. On our farm, they are thriving. And we don't use anything, again, we only use homotherapy. We don't use any special chemicals, any special anything. This is 3 bees, and this is our honey. and also other insects. These insects are very rare and very unusual in this part of Poland. We had a person who was a biologist, and he said the frogs on our farm were frogs from the valley. And he was so surprised that he started taking films of them and collecting them because he was completely shocked. How could frogs from the valley be living up so high? This is some more. And of course, children, which also grow profoundly in our community. And this is the, yeah. So we're gonna see more of this in the film. So I don't want to really show any more of a slideshow. Can we turn the slideshow off and go back to me? Go to the film. How much time do we have? So we're just going to try and get this film together now. And in the meantime, until the film comes on, I will talk more on spiritual ecology, because that's the dire need of the hour. And the most important, I consider the most important aspect of building a Homa farm or a Homa community. In other words, if one is just taking care of ecology or the other side of the fence, spirituality, and not blending the two together, then you're out of balance. So what does that mean? That means if you're just taking care of building a self-sustained ecological system, and all you're taking care of is the practical material aspects, and not interested at all in the spiritual aspects, not interested at all. And I know a lot of communities like that. I've visited them in Australia and also here in Poland. Then basically you're going to end up with people being very dissatisfied with each other, arguing with each other, in disharmony with each other. And you might have nice crops, and you might have nice gardens, and you might even build nice houses, but you end up in conflicts with each other. And a lot of these places, I won't mention names now because I haven't got time, have basically come to an end, and people end up living in somewhere nearby, in a nearby village, or separating from each other and seeing each other only once in a blue moon, or coming together once on occasions, because they can't stand living in the same place with each other. And what I have found, this is what I found when you don't have the harmony of spiritual ecology. And how we have spiritual ecology here, it's very simple, as you already have heard. It's Agnihotra, it's homotherapy, it's the Homas. The Homas are the material manifestation of what is spiritual ecology, because the fire takes care of ecology, as you already know, and it also takes care of your spiritual self-development, because as you sit with the fire, especially if you sit for many hours with Triambakam and with all the other fires, then you are meditating more. If you do this regularly, you are meditating more and more on your spiritual path, and you are focusing more and more on your soul and your spirit. And this is attuning you more and more to feeling with your heart all these other living beings that are around you, the trees, the birds, the insects, as well as people, of course. And that way you get a much stronger feeling of love for all these living beings. So therefore, instead of destroying something that's around, you think before you even want to, cut down the tree. You want to ask the tree, is it okay? Can I cut you? Because it doesn't seem that you're doing anything productive at the moment. And this is what we do here. Can I cut you down? Because I need to plant another tree that will be more productive. And if the tree says no, and we know that it says no because Parvati tells us, no, it's not my time yet, I just want to be here a little bit longer, then we then leave the tree alone, even though in somebody's mind, they will tell you that it's a waste of time having such a tree here. It's a waste of a space. Okay, so we're going to play the film now, so you'll get a better picture of what this place looks like, and then we'll go on to questions.
The film is 10 minutes.
Because the film is 10 minutes, and we have 25 minutes, so we have plenty of time. So relax and enjoy the film.
I've always wanted to live in a community for as long as I can remember. It seems to me the most sensible, the most natural way of living.
I lived most of my life in a system that doesn't work anymore, and I really see that clearly. I think when you're immersed in it, you can't see that. But if you take a little bit of time to explore something new, a more service-orientated way of thinking, service to the planet, service to each other. With this kind of foundation, you see nature as an entity, as something that you're made out of too.
So the whole idea right from the beginning was to set this place up as an example that other people could follow, a model farm. And then it mushroomed into a community of people who had the same idea in mind, and then it just grew organically from that.
Brugurania is an international eco-village and farming community located in the mountains of southern Poland. Since 1995, Brugurania has grown from a small organic farm into a holistic educational center. Here, in this unique atmosphere, people come to experience healing, meditation, organic gardening, and unity with nature on a profound level.
In the old days, the mothers, the fathers, the grandparents lived there, the aunts and uncles. And so there was this family unit where some of us have come from dysfunctional families, and we are creating a functional family. That's what community is to me.
A lot of the concept of the eco-village harkens back to the old village life, where it was just a normal thing. If you had to raise a barn, you go and you get the timbers chopped and chiseled and ready to go, and then you'd ask your neighbors, and everybody would come up, and you'd raise the barn, and it would be up in a couple days. And everybody helped each other. Everybody cooperated. At the end of the season, when you harvested your plants, you'd take the seeds and you'd trade the seeds.
In the garden by itself, even in vegetable garden, there's a lot of weeds that people are pulling out, but actually there are very, very healing herbs that are worth to collect. Many of them so common that people just throw away, like nettles, which is my favorite herb. There is borage with these beautiful blue flowers that we use even in the salads as an edible herb. Echinacea, which is really helpful for immune system. And also we collect the wild growing herbs like St. John's and yarrow.
When you go to a supermarket and you buy food, you don't really know where it's been grown or how it's been grown. So if you imagine a conventional grown plant that's been grown with agrochemicals, that plant is, first of all, it's living in a lifeless soil after a few years. Yeah, it's got hardly any earthworms, any beneficial insects in there, and it's just trying to survive its conditions, its environment.
According to the ancient Vedas, plants require 75% of the atmosphere to survive. It's not enough that you're going to, use the best methods like permaculture methods, biodynamic methods, to have brilliant soil. You have to have something to deal with the atmosphere and to heal the atmosphere, to nourish it, to energize, and that's exactly what Agnihotra does and Homa therapy, farming does.
Agnihotra is a fire ceremony performed at sunrise and sunset, which originates from the most ancient body of knowledge known to man, the Vedas. Encoded in these ancient texts is a holistic blueprint for living in balance with planet Earth. The most essential element of the Vedas given for purification of the atmosphere is yajna, the science of bioenergetic healing through the agency of fire.
In the ancient times, people lived in harmony with nature, and they practiced these fires everywhere around the world. Of course, we have remnants of that today. In Machu Picchu, in Georgia, in the fire temples there, even the Hopi Indians up till today, the Aborigines practiced, fire rituals. Fire was very sacred. In the older times, of course, it was done to maintain harmony. Now, it's a dire need to return to that harmony, to bring it back.
Agnihotra is a fire which you perform exactly at the time of sunrise, sunset, in a small copper pyramid. And some medicinal substances are being burned in that copper pyramid. There's a description given in the Vedas, and it says that exactly at that time, a flood of energies comes from the sun to the place where the sun appears to rise. This flood of energies has a subtle music in it, and the quintessential sound is the vibration, the mantra, which we utter exactly at that time. Therefore, we have a resonance effect, and a channel is created through all the atmosphere, and an aura energy field is created around all plants nearby. So these plants get nutrition, they get strong, they get disease resistant, they don't need these chemical fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides.
The inner work that I do when I do Agnihotra is kind of like a side effect. I'm not just doing it to help myself, I'm doing it to help everybody else around me and everything else around me.
We've had a biologist here, and he was shocked. He did experiments with tadpoles, and he found frogs here that are endangered, that don't even exist in the region, and magically appeared only on our farm. And then he did experiments with tadpoles and ash, and water that should be stagnant where these animals should be dying. The water was totally purified using the ash from Agnihotra, and the percentage of tadpoles, as far as like the eggs and how many germinated, was incredible.
We did some experiment in Kiev, in Ukraine. In Kiev, they had some radioactive rice from Fukushima. And normally with radioactivity, you can't do anything. You can just put it there, store it away, and wait. What they did is they took this radioactive rice, put it in water, added Agnihotra ash, and measured. And within 1 week or so, the whole radioactivity was neutralized. And that is really, really astonishing, because that normally should not happen.
What we've done here, the example that we've created here, is that we've transformed a place that was not able to grow practically anything except, say, what the local farmers grow, which is just food for their animals. We're able to grow anything and everything, from cocktail tomatoes to all kinds of herbs to all kinds of greens, from broccoli to you name it.
Bees are fascinating, and we really see what they do in nature here, because we have an orchard here, a fruit orchard here. Since the bees have been here, you can see how much they pollinate the whole orchard, and it's an amazing amount of fruit that we have now. The value that they have in the world nowadays as pollinators is very well known, and I can see the evidence of it now. And there's a problem now around the world where lots of bees are now dying in huge quantities, in huge numbers, and mainly because of probably agrochemicals, GM crops, wireless communication, mobile phones. They're becoming disorientated, they're becoming weaker. Whereas here in this Homa atmosphere that we've created, the bees are really, really thriving and very, very healthy. We have now 13 families altogether. We started off with 3, so slowly we've been increasing every year, and they're a very valued part of our community here.
Being a parent in a Homa community, people would always talk to me and say, what are you doing that's so different from what I'm doing? And I think that Agnihotra gives an environment of peace. It affects you through and through.
So many people have come here for the first time, and they come into this atmosphere and they're like, this is like a different country. It's like an oasis, it's like an island. You step off the road and you immerse yourself into a completely different atmosphere. And that's created through the powers of Agnihotra and homotherapy.
If you wish to, you can use the energy of that's created in the atmosphere by doing these fires. You can use that energy to work on yourself and to help yourself become a better person, become a better member of the whole planet.
I think being spiritual for me is a commitment to being kind, a commitment to being loving, a commitment to walking in harmony on the earth, a commitment to working with each other and working through our issues with honesty and integrity. I think it's the love with which you grow your gardens. I think it's makes me want to cry because it's such a wonderful thing.
This type of community that we're setting up here, to me, it's like a vision of the future. People will have to build communities from an inner sense of awareness.
We're not doing this alone. This is the way nature wants it to be. This is the way the divine wants us to be. If you look, you can see the visible, the invisible, the audible, the silent, all moving as one force, one energy, one wave of light and sound, one dance.
Okay, we're back. So as you can see, this film, I hope everybody saw the film okay? Yeah? As you can see, this film is a great example of what I've been talking about, spiritual ecology.